Hello, lads, lasses, people in between. This is your boy Willie Does Wrestling back at it again with a brand new video, and I'm here to spice things up here in these videos. A lot of people have been asking me, what pay-per-view do I consider to be the worst of all time, at least the worst I have ever seen. Now, I've started watching wrestling around 2016, so I haven't really experienced a lot of very bad pay-per-views. But if I were to choose one that I have seen in recent years that I consider to be the worst of all time, there's really two contenders. One being Crown Jewel 2018, which I could probably cover in a different video. And the other one is this one, Hell in a Cell 2019. And I know everyone and their fucking grandma has made videos about Hell in a Cell 2019, and I know that I am very, very late to the party. However, I've always wanted to cover this pay-per-view for a very long time because this pay-per-view was just not good. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I could go on for fucking hours upon hours upon hours on why this pay-per-view was fucking bad. From the build to the fucking matches themselves to the card, the fact that there was literally no advertising, no hype, no nothing, barely any titles on the line, and if there were title matches, it was bullshit. And all the matches that weren't for titles felt like you were watching an episode of Raw or SmackDown. 2019 was a very bad year for WWE. And, first, before we get to the actual event, let's talk about the actual build for Hell in a Cell 2019. Now, this was like a very big late 2019 for WWE. NXT was starting to compete with AEW Dynamite. This was back when Dynamite first started. So WWE decided to put NXT on Wednesdays on the USA Network to try to compete with AEW Dynamite. And let's just say AEW always destroyed them. AEW would constantly win in the ratings. I think in the entire time NXT was on Wednesdays, I think NXT only won once or twice. I could be wrong. Any fact checkers can correct me in the comments. Also, this was during the time where SmackDown started going on Fox, started premiering on Fox. So WWE was focusing on this big Fox premiere show, which saw Kofi Kingston get squashed to Brock Lesnar in like 7 seconds. Remember that, guys? This was all during the build-up to Hell in a Cell 2019. That was the warning sign. Was the fact that all this was happening during the supposed build time to Hell in a Cell 2019. So you got to think, hey, well, they'll surely deliver the day of the event, right? Well, in the lead up to the event, for reasons that I already explained, they were too focused on Fox and on NXT facing AEW Dynamite. There was really only 3 or 4 matches announced on the card before the day of the event that actually had a bit of a story to it. That was Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. It was Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns teaming up to take on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan in a tornado tag team match. I actually met Eric Rowan, by the way. I think Charlotte Flair versus Bayley as well for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And Seth Rollins versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Universal Championship. So I lied. That was 4 matches. 4 matches out of 9 counting the kickoff match. On the day of the event, they announced 5 more matches, which all of them literally felt like you were watching an episode of Raw. Natalya versus Lacey Evans was the kickoff match. Randy Orton versus Mustafa Ali in a singles match. the Kabuki Warriors challenging Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Braun Strowman and the Viking Raiders versus the OC in a 6-man tag team match. And Chad Gable versus King Corbin. All of these matches, this card was absolutely terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. That the fact that they waited until the day of the event to build up this pay-per-view, and it was insane. And also, I think this was also during the time where they were going to do a WWE draft as well. So let's get on into the event, because this is technically going to be a recap and a bit of a review. The pay-per-view kicked off with the best match on the fucking card, which was Becky Lynch defending the Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks inside the Hell in a Cell. Now, these guys had fucking everything. Like, these women had fucking everything. They fought outside the door, or outside the cage, sorry. They had chains, they had a ladder, tables, fucking chairs. Banks hitting a meteor from the ring on Lynch into a ladder. Fucking all of this. There were near falls as well. Drop kicks into a cell wall. I mean, like, these women were absolutely insane. Kendo sticks, like bank statements with kendo sticks, and it was absolutely insane. In the end, Becky Lynch hit Sasha Banks with a steel chair and used an exploder suplex onto the chairs. Then she used the disarmor, and Banks tapped out, and Becky Lynch retained the title. I honestly consider this to be one of the best Raw Women's Championship defenses of Becky Lynch's like year-long reign of terror with the Raw Women's Championship, and I think it's probably one of the best women's Hell in a Cell match. I think it is the best women's Hell in a Cell match ever since the Women's Revolution. And yeah, that was the best match in the card. That was what we kicked off with, was that match. It was also one of the ones with probably the most build. It was during Sasha Banks' big heel turn, where she had blue hair and she started fucking, targeting Becky Lynch and all that. I honestly wouldn't have been mad if she won the title there. Not going to lie. Then we had another good match. Daniel Bryan teaming up with Roman Reigns to take on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. Also one of the ones with a bit of story to it. This was when Roman Reigns was getting attacked, getting hit by fucking cars, getting fucking stage setups all on him. It was revealed to be Eric Rowan. Daniel Bryan didn't like it because he's a liar. And then, then they had a falling out. Luke Harper, the late Luke Harper, ended up coming back and attacking them both, and that was how we came up with this match. This match was good. It was a tornado tag team match. Harper and Rowan dominated a little bit. They tried to powerbomb Bryan through an announce table, but Bryan hit a Hurricane Rana, and Reigns speared Eric Rowan through a table. That was probably the best spot of the match. In the end, Roman Reigns hit a Superman punch on Harper, followed by a running knee by Bryan, and then a spear by Reigns on Harper to win the match. Then the baby faces hugged it out. This was when Bryan was still in the new Daniel Bryan phase, and this was like the start of his babyface turn when he teamed up with Reigns, and then eventually Bryan got into a feud with Bray Wyatt, and then that was when Daniel Bryan started doing the yes movement again. This was a very fun match. Then after this, it was a very forgettable match, Randy Orton versus Mustafa Ali. The only thing I think anyone really remembers from this match was when Randy Orton tried hitting an RKO, but Mustafa Ali blocked using a handstand. And then Randy Orton hit an RKO. Very predictable finish. Not the best. Not the very best. Then we go to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending the Women's Tag Team Championship against the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. In the climax, I'm reading this off fucking Wikipedia. The referee was checking on Alexa Bliss, and then Asuka hit the green mist on Nikki Cross and pinning her after a roundhouse kick to win the titles. This was the start of the Kabuki Warriors' year-long reign. Again, this was also when the women's tag team titles clearly didn't get the respect that it really deserved. Let's be real here. I don't know, it didn't really feel like a pay-per-view worthy match, not going to lie. The fact that we had this match, it was cool to have titles on the line, but it's I could literally be watching this on Raw. That was how much that the women's tag team titles were at the start, even at the start of its run. Yeah, most of these matches were very forgettable. We ended up having Tamina as well, rolling up Carmella to win the 24/7 championship in a backstage segment. Hooray. King Corbin then faced Chad Gable. Chad Gable ended up rolling up Corbin a win. This was also when WWE was really being adamant towards roll-up wins. If you were watching Raw or SmackDown during this time, everyone was fucking winning via roll-up. And then after this, Baron Corbin was hey, ring announcer, announce Chad Gable by Shorty Gable, which was ultimately the start of Shorty G, Chad Gable's shitty gimmick. Again, why am I watching this on a fucking pay-per-view? This is something I would watch on Raw. And especially since the King of the Ring final was about 2 weeks before this, why didn't you have the King of the Ring final in this, so that way this stupid-ass match between King Corbin and Gable would actually mean something? But no, WWE back then was controlled by a senile old man who liked to pay a bunch of women. After this, Tamina emerged from the backstage area, and then Carmella hit a super kick on Tamina, which allowed R-Truth to pin Tamina to win the 24/7 championship for the 20th time, according to WWE. I'm not, I don't give a shit enough about the 24/7 championship. At least it was being used at this point. Then afterwards, we had Bayley for defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Again, I completely forget about this match. Decent enough, but the result was actually kind of pointless. Bayley was the women's champion during this. In the end, Charlotte ended up winning her 10th women's championship. But what happened 2 days later made this match feel fucking pointless. So, a couple days later I think it was during the draft, then where Charlotte and Bayley ended up having a rematch. This was when Bayley started cutting her hair, and then that was when she beat the shit out of the Bayley buddies. And then Bayley ended up winning the title back to start her heel turn. So it's why didn't you have Bayley retain? I don't know. It was kind of pointless. Did I miss out on something? Oh, yeah. I completely skipped the fact that earlier on in the night, there was the OC versus the Viking Raiders and a partner of their choosing, which was ultimately revealed to be Braun Strowman. After Strowman dominated the OC, all three men ended up attacking Braun Strowman, and they were eventually disqualified. That's right. Yeah. Well, that would explain the fact why I completely forgot about the match. We had matches end in disqualification on pay-per-view. Now imagine being one of those suckers who paid $50 for one of those pay-per-views. You'd feel fucking stupid, right? Right? That'd be fucking stupid. Why the fuck? Even then, AJ was U.S. champion during this, so why didn't you have AJ defend the U.S. title against Braun Strowman on this show? That'd be a good enough match. Could have had the OC interfere and cost Braun Strowman the title. I would have booked a better fucking pay-per-view than this shit. But you guys obviously came here for me to talk about the main event. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend inside Hell in a Cell for the Universal Championship. Now, there was a lot wrong with this match. Seth Rollins, the red-hot babyface, which WWE saw a lot in and was insanely over. But he couldn't shut the fuck up on Twitter. Bray Wyatt, one of the best one of the best characters that WWE had produced in years, that was also very popular by the fans. WWE, seeing this popularity between two people, one a babyface, one heel, they decided to mash them together in a Universal Championship match on the main event of a pay-per-view. The one problem with this was Bray Wyatt's character was only 2 months old, was booked to be an unstoppable beast. And another problem was Seth Rollins. WWE saw a lot in him and didn't want him to lose the Universal Championship that fast. The result, WWE booked themselves into a corner, didn't know what the fuck to do, which was why we got what we had. There was a lot wrong with this match. First off, the Hell in a Cell structure was red. It was like that the year prior. People really expected that. What they didn't expect was that the Hell in a Cell the Hell in a Cell set, the lighting ended up being all red. Now, my buddies over at the Cheap Pop Wrestling Podcast ended up telling me on Twitter that the red lighting live, because they went to see it live, it was unbearable. You couldn't see. Now imagine, like I said about the pay-per-view point earlier, imagine going to that event, paying God knows how much, including travel, cab, fucking food, and ticket prices, and hotel, to watch this pay-per-view, and you go to see this star-studded main event, and it's full of red lighting you can't even fucking see. Not the best look. People were booing because they couldn't fucking see. Not a good look for the start of your main event match. The Fiend started dominating earlier in the match. Rollins performed a frog splash on The Fiend through a table. And the amount of stomps that Seth Rollins fucking hit on The Fiend. I'm going to read this match summary here. The Fiend got right back up, countered a second stomp right into his sister Abigail into a near fall. Then The Fiend used a gigantic mallet to ram Rollins into the cell wall. Rollins recovered and performed another stomp on The Fiend, this time onto the mallet. Back inside the ring, Rollins followed up with 3 more stomps, a pedigree, and a 6th stomp for a 1 count. 6 stomps, and The Fiend kicked out at 1. Rollins performed 5 more stomps to make it 11, retrieved a chair, which he used to hit The Fiend in the face for another 1 count. 11 stomps, and The Fiend is looking like a fucking, horror movie character. He's Pennywise. You can't fucking beat him. Rollins placed the chair on The Fiend and slammed a ladder onto it for a 2 count. Rollins then placed the ladder on top of The Fiend and used a toolbox to repeatedly smash it. In the climax, Rollins obtained a sledgehammer, but the referee, for some reason, came in and said, No, man, you can't do that. What the fuck are you doing? You can't beat the shit out of The Fiend. No, we're a PG show, buddy. You can't fucking do that. A sledgehammer. Meanwhile, The Fiend, earlier in the match, used a giant mallet. So, after contemplating, Rollins slammed the sledgehammer on top of the weapons over The Fiend. Now, this would probably be the most protected spot in history because of all the weapons that The Fiend would have on him. Then, the referee called for the bell. A DQ in a Hell in a Cell match in your main event for a world championship. This was the big money match that people paid tickets to. And people subscribed to the WWE Network for to watch. But no, you couldn't do that. Can't hit people over the face with a sledgehammer, but guess what? We can impale people with a mallet. Absolutely fucking stupid. Then apparently paramedics came to tend to the Fiend, who then got up and hit Rollins with a mandible claw before throwing him outside the ring where he performed his Sister Abigail. The Fiend pulled up the ringside covering and performed another Sister Abigail, this time on the exposed concrete, before incapacitating Rollins with the mandible claw. With blood pouring from Rollins' mouth, the event ended with the Fiend's laughter echoing throughout the arena. That was what, ladies and gentlemen, you guys had at Hell in a Cell 2019. Absolutely terrible. Because my thought on that was, if you weren't going to have either man win, you should have not booked this match. I mean, the Fiend's character was really only 2 months old at this point. You really didn't need to have that. The red lighting was also a very bad fucking touch. And then a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match after Seth Rollins lightly hit Bray Wyatt in the face with a bunch of weapons over him. It would have been the most protected fucking shot of all time. I'll bet you Mankind would have fucking liked the fact that the Hell in a Cell match ended that much. Speaking of, the reactions in the crowd and on social media was fucking terrible. Where was the crowd? Yeah, the crowd rejected the perceived illogical finish of the main event. The crowd soon started roaring thunderous boos whilst also chanting bullshit, refund, restart the match, and also AEW. Cancel WWE Network was trending on Twitter. X-Pac, who appeared on WWE's live reaction talk show Watch Along, reacted saying that acknowledging that WWE may not invite him back to do such reaction shows. X-Pac questioned, "How the hell do you get DQ'd in a Hell in a frickin' Cell?" I agree with X-Pac there. Now, I've seen a lot of wrestling YouTubers talk about Hell in a Cell 2019, and they called it one of the worst pay-per-views in history next to Crown Jewel 2018. And to that, I agree with them, for reasons that I've said multiple times in this video. We had really only 3 or 4 matches with actual story or build before the pay-per-view, and even then the stories weren't even that good anyway. We had filler matches like Randy Orton versus Mustafa Ali, the 6-man tag, and the women's tag title match, because we totally needed those. And we had one of the worst main events in history, filled with red lighting, a terrible finish, a DQ inside a Hell in a Cell. And even then, after that, Bray Wyatt got up like he was fucking Jesus, and everything was fine. Again, if you were one of those people in 2019 that paid $50 to see this pay-per-view, I feel fucking bad for you. Again, like I said earlier, you didn't need to have Seth Rollins and The Fiend fight if you were scared on having one of them look weak by losing. Now, this really ruined The Fiend's credibility as well, and The Fiend ended up losing quickly to Goldberg a few months later. Well, he beat Seth Rollins a month later in a Falls Count Anywhere match that can't be stopped for any reason, and then he lost to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia a couple months after this. And Seth Rollins' entire babyface run was fucking ruined, and WWE decided to turn him heel. Yeah, Hell in a Cell 2019 was not the best. I mean, it was fucking terrible. I didn't like it one bit. I don't know about y'all, but yeah, no, I just thought I'd come on here and talk about why I didn't like it, because, I think every wrestling YouTuber under the fucking sun has talked about it. And yeah, no, it was probably fucking like the worst fucking wrestling pay-per-view I've ever heard of and I've ever seen. And I feel so bad for every motherfucker that paid to actually watch that. But ladies and gentlemen, what were your thoughts on Hell in a Cell 2019? And comment down below what you thought was the worst pay-per-view of all time. And let me know what pay-per-views you want me to talk about next. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe, and turn post notifications on so you never miss an upload. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been your boy Willie Does Wrestling. I'll see you in the next video. Be good, people, and peace.